Alright, so we're back talking about 6ix9ine for the second time this week. It's honestly starting to feel like 2018 all over again. But the difference is in 2025, Tekashi might actually be staring down some real prison time this go around. And I can't even lie, it's not looking good for him. So let's rewind a bit. Y'all, remember in 2019 when 6ix9ine was arrested and sentenced to 2 years in prison, plus 5 years of supervised release, all because he cooperated in the 9 Trey Blood's RICO case. He became the poster boy for snitching very publicly, turning on his own crew in exchange for a lighter sentence. Instead of 47 years, he walked with 2. Because of the pandemic, he didn't even serve all of that. He got released several months early. Now here's the crazy part. Most people thought that was his chance to disappear live low-key and maybe reinvent himself. But 6ix9ine? Nah, he doubled down. He wore his snitch badge, proudly kept talking gangster, and carried on like he was still the biggest blood in the world. Except this time, the music wasn't hitting the same, the antics weren't entertaining anymore, and the career that once thrived off controversy started drying up. But here's where it gets wild. While some of the very same guys he snitched on, like Mel Murda, are slowly getting released from prison, he's the one now facing bigger consequences. It's almost like karma spun the block on him. According to reports from multiple outlets, the AP, Hot New Hip Hop, and others, Tekashi has officially been hit with new federal charges for violating the terms of his supervised release. The AP article breaks it down like this. On Wednesday, Tekashi admitted in court that he violated his supervised release by possessing drugs. The feds say his Miami home was raided back on March 12th, and inside his bedroom cabinet they found residual cocaine and MDMA. Now, Tekashi agreed to admit to that violation, and in exchange, prosecutors dropped 2 other counts related to the same incident. But let's be real, that's just the surface, because this isn't Tekashi's first post-prison screw-up. Over the last few years, he's been involved in multiple brawls overseas, caught slipping in gyms, and always surrounded by chaos. Add drugs to the equation, and now the feds got a legal reason to reel him back in. Here's the bigger picture. Supervised release violations aren't some small slap on the wrist the judge doesn't have to play nice this time. If they decide Tekashi hasn't learned his lesson, he could be looking at additional prison time stacked onto what's already on his record. And for a guy whose whole image is built around being untouchable, this could be the reality check that finally humbles him. Because think about it, in 2018, he was the loudest voice in the room, trolling everybody and moving reckless because he felt protected by 9 Trey. In 2019, he was the rat who cut a deal. And now in 2025, he's the 29-year-old rapper standing in front of a federal judge begging not to get sent back to prison, while the guys he helped lock up are walking free. If that ain't irony, I don't know what is. It doesn't actually say what the 2 other charges were, but reports mention that they dropped the charges tied to fentanyl and gun possession due to lack of evidence. That sounds like a win for Tekashi at first glance, but don't get it twisted. The trouble didn't go away. His sentencing for the supervised release violation he admitted to was already scheduled for September 25th of this year. Now here's where it gets serious. He didn't face any state charges related to that Miami raid, but the federal judge made it very clear if he slipped up one more time before that September 25th, sentencing the hammer was coming down. The judge literally told him, the consequences will be severe if you violate again. That's not just talk. That's a federal judge warning you that next time they're not playing. And when you look at the numbers, it's no small deal. Federal sentencing guidelines recommend anywhere from 3 to 9 months in prison per count, but Tekashi could face up to 5 years in prison and even lifetime supervised release. That's the maximum. But the fact that the judge even mentioned it means they're thinking about it, and this ain't even his first violation. Remember last November? He already got jammed up for failing a drug test, lying to his probation officer, and even taking a trip out to Vegas without permission. For that one, the judge slapped him with 45 days in federal custody and said those infractions showed a total lack of respect for the law. In other words, the court already sees him as reckless. Now fast forward to this latest raid, and it's clear they're stacking things up against him. Here's the crazy part though. If Tekashi actually gets hit with the max 5 years, that would put him in a worse position than some of the dudes he snitched on. We literally just saw Mel Murda coming home. Kuda B got released too. Imagine that the guy who ratted out half his gang might end up doing more time on the back end than the people he testified against. That's insane. But it gets even wilder. These are federal charges. If he ends up serving time, there's a strong chance it could be in a federal prison in New York. You know who else is in those facilities? Some of the exact same 9 Trey members he helped put away. Think about that. 6ix9ine Biggest snitch in hip-hop history, locked in a pod or a block with the same guys he betrayed. That's not just bad, that's dangerous. Of course he could PC up, protective custody, to avoid that, but even that comes with a price. You're basically living isolated 23 hours in a cell, 1 hour out. That's not a life anyone wants. It really shows how probation and supervised release can be a trap. On paper, it looks like you're free, but the reality is every slip-up, every lie, every failed test stacks against you, and eventually the feds build the case to bring you back in. That's exactly what's happening here with Tekashi. He thought he beat the system, but the system is slowly reeling him back in. And the irony? Back in 2019, he was the one walking free while everyone else was doing football numbers. Now 6 years later, those same guys are touching down while he's the one staring down the barrel of 5 years fed time. Karma moves slow, but it moves. Lock you up and keep you for 2 or 3 years, or they could put you on probation. Now they got you that whole probation time. And if you mess up, you can go and get resentenced, and now they got you for some extra years. Either way, that's what 6ix9ine is currently facing right now. And this comes just when he was trying to, I guess, revive his rap career. We just seen the other day he put out that snippet for the song is basically a Young Thug disc. I covered it over here on the channel. He's been trying to make his way into headlines, and this right here is only gonna slow that down. Although I don't think it would have worked for him anyways. But yeah, I mean, the judge has told him, if you get in trouble, there are going to be severe consequences. Here he is getting in trouble. He was getting in trouble back in November. Not to mention, and let me not forget, when he was arrested and eventually drug tested back in November. He tested positive for having meth in his system. He showed up to court an hour late when the judge sentenced him. Apparently, he looked at the judge and told him, "I'm only human, bro." Right? All of these things add up and culminate in whatever decision that judge is ultimately going to make. Tekashi's fate is in that judge's hand. This judge is the exact same judge that gave him the lenient sentence back in 2019 on the RICO case. So he's seen Tekashi 69 numerous times at this point. When this all started, he was just a little over 20 years old right now. He's damn near 30 years old. He is a grown-ass man who just cannot seem to make good decisions. You reap what you sow. And in this situation, Tekashi 6ix9ine is really truthfully only getting what he asked for, testing positive for meth. It's crazy, bro. You know, I can't see any world in which 6ix9ine is able to escape consequences from this. He's already on probation, and this is federal probation, not state probation, so he's already on probation. He's made numerous errors while he's been on probation. The judge told him that the consequences could be severe. And yet here we are again, where he is back in trouble. So at this point, he's just waiting on his sentencing. I guess we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens. And to be honest, with you guys, like I said, it's hard to feel bad for Tekashi 69. You know, in life, for every action, there's a opposite and equal reaction. This is the government reacting. Tekashi has had tax trouble in the past. He should know if there's one person in the world that you really truly don't want to mess with, like you don't want no beef with them at all, it's the federal government. The federal government does not play around. They've never played around. Once you got the feds on you, you have a real problem, a serious problem, a problem that is very hard to make go away. If he's sentenced to 5 years, he'll probably be sitting in prison when people that he snitched on in 2019 are being released. And I think that there is definitely some kind of irony in that whole situation, especially when you consider that 6ix9ine had the opportunity to come out and change. He had the opportunity to do better, but bro just kept running his mouth. Just the other day, he was dropping dish records against Young Thug for being a rat, right? He's continued to exhibit the exact same behavior that he's always exhibited. Bro didn't learn nothing, and because he didn't learn nothing, he was out here, up making mistakes. And it looks like once, again, he's gonna have to sit down and deal with those consequences. But that's what I got for y'all, man. Y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about it in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell, so you get notified every time I upload a video. And as always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.